Welcome to Nereid Atlas. We slow big stories down just enough to see what they're made of. I'm Lucas. Here's what happened. Washington expanded secondary sanctions on Iran, penalties that threaten foreign banks, shippers, and insurers if they help move Iranian oil or process the payments behind it. Tehran, meanwhile, signaled it could raise risks in the Gulf, including traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, if its exports are choked. And yet, markets barely moved. Prices held steady. Tankers kept sailing. The stakes are straightforward. The US is trying to squeeze Iran's money flows, Iran is warning about a maritime choke point, and the real day-to-day pressure lands on the middle. Lenders, underwriters, and the states deciding how strictly to comply. People are watching because if either step bites hard, energy costs and shipping change fast. If not, this turns into a test of enforcement and workarounds. For this episode, we worked through 16 articles from 13 outlets, published between August 21st and August 24th. Elena's been digging into that. Elena? Nereid Atlas. Synthetic voices. Real analysis.
They called it an economic D-Day. Oil prices fell.
That's backwards. If you threaten to strangle a major oil producer and Tehran says it might shut the Gulf, shouldn't crude spike?
It should if traders think either side actually pulls the lever. But what we're watching is theater about who controls the switch. Washington says it can close Iran's access to money. Tehran says it can close the Strait of Hormuz. Markets are testing both claims.
Let's stay with Washington's claim. What does economic D-Day mean beyond a headline?
Secondary sanctions. The US threatens not just Iran, but anyone who does business with Iran. Banks, shippers, insurers, brokers. The BBC's version spells it out. Sever ties with Iran or we isolate you too. The point is to scare the plumbing of global commerce.
Plumbing?
Dollar clearing, marine insurance, ship registries, exchange houses. The pieces you need to move oil or money. And they're tightening around the informal routes. The Guardian, for example, had a case about couriers carrying cash on commercial flights to Hezbollah. That's a message. Even your workarounds are under watch.
Okay, so the US frames this like Normandy. Decisive landing, endgame. TASS literally used the word endgame.
And Iranian media flipped it. Tehran Times calls it Dud Day, basically saying the US is announcing an economic blitz because it failed on the battlefield. That inversion matters. If sanctions are sold as decisive, any sign they're not instantly decisive becomes proof of US weakness.
But there is real pain. Middle East Eye says the rial hit a record low, past $2 million per dollar. That's not theater to a family buying groceries.
It's not. Sanctions raise the price of being Iranian. But pain isn't the same as policy change. Chinese coverage pushed this line. Decades of sanctions haven't forced surrender, so the impact is uncertain. The system adapts. Smaller banks, barter, gray shipping.
Then what's the aim? If it's not regime change, is it time buying? Leverage for talks?
Leverage, domestic signaling, and coalition management. Make the cost high enough that partners lean away from Tehran, and that Tehran takes your calls. The New York Times had the sanitized version, further isolating Iranian trade. That's the mechanism.
Meanwhile, Brent drops to around $92, and traders also watch Nvidia and Jackson Hole. That feels indecently normal.
Markets rank risks. The Hindu literally put chip earnings in the same breath as a sanctions blitz. It's a tell. Until ships slow or insurers balk, portfolios stay calm.
And Tehran's counterclaim? Japan Times had the line, If the economic war continues, we shut down all oil exports from the Gulf. That's not subtle.
It's the mirror image of dollar power, physical root power. One side squeezes the ledger, the other threatens the sea. The question is, whose switch is real?
And who pays if either is flipped?
Usually, everyone who didn't pick this fight.
How credible is Tehran's "we'll shut the Gulf" line? Bluff or plan?
They don't need a full closure. Raising insurance risk can slow flows. Iranian Navy officials have been saying they control waters east of Hormuz. Constant monitoring, readiness. It's posture, but posture moves premiums.
And there's this odd middleman, Oman. One Argentine outlet reported Iran and Oman advancing an agreement to manage the strait, and the U.S. scolding Muscat. That's awkward.
Oman is the quiet traffic cop of the strait. If Tehran can frame management as de-escalation and Washington frames it as enabling, you pull a neutral into the pressure game. That matters to insurers in London and refiners in Asia who just want a predictable lane.
Wait, doesn't this also play out inside the Gulf? One U.S. outlet claimed the UAE suspended all trade and financial ties with Iran after missile accusations. If true, that's a severed artery.
If true, it's huge. The UAE has been one of Iran's biggest commercial lifelines. But note how few others echoed that claim. When sanctions rely on fear, ambiguity is a feature. People de-risk before the hammer falls.
Israel's press highlighted the rial's collapse, but also that Tehran is holding talks on Hormuz, defiance plus diplomacy. That reads like, we can hurt you, and we can calm it down. Your move.
And Brazil's Folha noted Iran warning countries that joined the sanctions campaign could face consequences. Tehran's version of secondary sanctions, socially, regionally enforced. A reminder that pressure isn't a one-way street.
So we have two switches, dollar rails and the shipping lane, and then a layer of middle states and corporations deciding how scared to be.
Exactly. The US can weaponize access to payment and insurance. Iran can weaponize the possibility of disruption. Oman's management, UAE rumors, Asian refiners' hesitations. Those are the dials in between, and they respond to narratives as much as facts.
Narratives as in?
Endgame versus admission of defeat. A Treasury Secretary promising to isolate whoever is with the regime versus Tehran saying that line proves Washington's military failure. One side tries to make businesses fear fines. The other tries to make them fear getting caught in a shooting incident in the strait.
And the markets? They voted. Oil down, for now.
They voted that the threats are performative until they're not. Traders will watch for a tug. An insurer quietly pauses coverage. A ship lingers outside Hormuz. An Asian buyer delays a cargo. The Hindu tucked this into the footnotes of earnings and central banks because nothing broke yet.
But for Iranians, something is already breaking. 2 million rials to $1 isn't a footnote.
That's the moral distortion of this model. You can calibrate a sanctions dial to avoid a tanker crisis, but the immediate pain lands inland, on people who cannot hedge.
So, who actually holds the switch?
No one holds it alone. Washington can suffocate external finance without a shot. Tehran can lift risk across the world's energy corridor with a hint. And places like Muscat, maybe Dubai, get drafted as unwilling stagehands.
Which makes the punchline strange. The more each side insists it controls everything, the more they need everyone else to cooperate with that story.
And cooperation is the first thing sanctions and threats dissolve.
So the oil price falls, and we all pretend the switch isn't there.
Until someone tests it, and then the story writes the reality.